Hey, it's Carrie from Lovely Etc. And today I want to show you step by step how to decorate a Christmas tree, including a bunch of simple tweaks that will really help your Christmas tree turn out beautifully. Okay, so to be honest, I haven't always been that great at decorating a Christmas tree. I always wanted to have a really beautiful tree like the ones that you see on Instagram and Pinterest, but once I got all the ornaments on there, I would end up usually just feeling a little bit disappointed. So I started studying all the trees that I thought were so beautiful in magazines or online and trying to figure out what exactly it is that those people were doing that I was not doing. So over the past few years, I've tried out a few new things every year. I've picked up a lot of tips and tricks from different places, and now I'm really happy with how my Christmas tree looks, and I'm excited to share with you guys all the things that I have figured out, all those tiny tweaks that just make a huge difference. Okay, so really quick, let's talk about the tree itself. You do not have to buy one of those amazing $700 Christmas trees to have a beautiful Christmas tree. You just don't. If you already have one of those, great, your tree is already on the right track. If you don't, it's totally fine. I bought this tree this year from Amazon, and it was a little bit over $200, and I'm super happy with it. Once it's all fluffed out, it looks beautiful. I love the flocking. It's not nearly as messy as I expected. I personally am a huge fan of a flocked Christmas tree. I've actually flocked my own Christmas trees in the past, and I have a video about that if you're interested. I just love how the flocking adds depth and helps make your tree look fuller, even when it's not the nicest, most expensive tree there is. But green trees are also beautiful, of course. So if you're looking for a new tree, I will link this down in the description. No matter what tree you have though, if it is an artificial tree, you're gonna need to start by fluffing up all of these branches. When you're fluffing them, you're just taking all the tips and spreading them out, making sure that they're pointing different directions and just filling up the tree. And that really helps to fill in any kind of blank spaces and holes that there are. Okay, so next, let's talk lights. My tree is pre-lit, and I'm happy enough with how many lights it has. But in general, the more lights you have, the better. The brighter and the better your tree is gonna look. If you have a pre-lit tree and you don't feel like it has enough lights, you can definitely still add more lights, even if it's already pre-lit. I have done that in the past. I used to think that the best way to put lights on a tree was just to kind of wrap them around the edges like this and go around and around and around. It's clearly not the best way to put lights on a tree. I've also seen people say, well, you should do them up and down instead of around. That does help, and it's a little bit better, but if you look at a pre-lit tree, the lights are not just on the outside. They go all the way in around the branches, and that's what makes them look beautiful and has this nice glow all the way through. So when I do add lights to a tree, I take the lights and I wrap them around each branch through the needles all the way back into the back of the branch, and then from there move to the next one so that the lights are woven all through the tree and all around each branch. Okay, now we're ready to add some ribbon. The ribbon is really where I struggled for a long time. I just could not figure out how to make it look good. It either looked way too simplistic and not beautiful, or it looked like I'd been torturing the poor ribbon and it was, again, not beautiful. So a couple things not to do first. You do not want to wrap your ribbon around your tree mummy style, like just going around and around in bandages. Same thing if you're coming from the top. It looks really dated to just have a big old piece of ribbon trailing down in a straight vertical line. When you're dealing with ribbon, there's a few things to keep in mind. First of all, you want to use wired ribbon on your tree. It will just help hold its shape in a way that other ribbon is not going to. And it also usually looks nicest if you use two types of ribbon instead of just one. It just breaks it up and makes it look a lot more interesting. When you're adding your ribbon, you want to work with the natural curl and shape of the ribbon and kind of let the ribbon do what the ribbon wants to do. So I found two main ways to add ribbon that I think look really nice, and they're actually basically the same for the most part, except for one is vertical and one is horizontal. Okay, so I am starting with this gold mesh kind of ribbon because I want to have a little glow on my tree this year. And as you can see, I cut it into like an 18 to 24 inch piece. You can put on ribbon and just a continuous line looping all around or up and down, whichever way you decide to go. But I prefer to cut it into pieces for one thing because I am cheap and I want to save money and I don't want to waste ribbon on the back of the tree. But secondly, aside from being cheap, I feel like it makes it easier to control the ribbon and put it where you want it. So when you're placing your ribbon, you're going to start up near the top of the tree and push one end of the ribbon in near the trunk. And then you just kind of let the ribbon curl out and do what it wants to do. And where it seems like it kind of wants to, you can take that and push that in near the tree trunk again and again, just let it kind of fall out and do its own thing. So you can see I ended up with 2 loops of my ribbon right here, which I feel like is the easiest to work with. And the 2 loops are not perfectly equal and the same size, and they're also not perfectly vertical. Both of those things just help it look really natural and nice. Okay, now I'm going to pull this out and show you the second way to add ribbon, which is incredibly similar, basically the same thing except for a bit more horizontal. All right, so this time I'm going to use this white fluffy ribbon because I feel like it's a little bit easier to see against the tree. So again, I'm starting up near the top of the tree and just tucking it in and kind of letting it fall and do its own thing. Really the only difference is I'm moving it more horizontally and less vertically. Okay, now I'm gonna add my ribbon for real, and I personally prefer a little bit more of the horizontal approach, but whichever way you do it, you don't want harsh vertical or horizontal lines. You want it to be more meandering around the tree. After the ribbon is all done, I usually add some picks to my tree, and picks are just these kind of branch things with some greenery. Sometimes there's berries or pine cones, and you do not have to do this, but I think that adding these really helps take kind of an ordinary, maybe cheaper tree and elevates it and makes it look as nice as the more expensive trees. It helps to fill in any kind of more hollow spots in your tree or where there's little kind of holes between the branches, and it also just makes it look more interesting. It gives it more of a natural shape instead of such a perfect triangle, and I just really like the way it looks. You can usually get these on sale at, you know, all the places, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, all those places. But also in the past, there's been times where I just went out in my yard and got some branches or pine cones and stuck those right in my tree, and it actually looked really nice too. So it doesn't have to be something really expensive. So Christmas ornaments is the part of decorating a tree that I thought I actually pretty much knew all about, and it turns out I was wrong, because there are some things that can even bring your ornaments up a huge notch. First of all, more ornaments is better. I used to think, you know, you don't need that many ornaments, it's fine, but looking back at pictures of those Christmas trees where I didn't use that many ornaments, they just really look kind of sad and bare. So more is better. Also, when you're putting on your ornaments, you want to make sure that you're using a bunch of different sizes and shapes of ornaments. When you're putting your ornaments on, I always start with just the balls, which is, they're kind of like filler. They are helping keep everything looking cohesive and nice, and they're helping fill up the tree without having to have 500 special ornaments. So I start by putting all the balls on the tree. And when I'm doing it, I make sure that I am not just putting them right out here on the outer branches, but putting some back inside the tree as well. And that really helps give your tree depth and a sense of fullness. Now all the ball ornaments are on, it actually is looking really good, and I could stop here, but like I said, all the handmade and vintage ornaments are really important to me. So I'm going to put them on next, and I'm just going to make sure to kind of spread them throughout the tree and try to keep similar shapes and similar ornaments separated so they're not right next to each other, so the whole tree looks cohesive in the end. And lastly, I'm going to add a simple gold star to the top of my tree. I really lucked out and found this gold star at a yard sale over the summer for $1, but I know they have similar ones on Amazon. I feel like the tree topper is another area where it can get kind of hard to know what to do. At my website, I have a post that's all about different ideas for topping off your tree if you're looking for more ideas. Holy cow, am I happy with how this Christmas tree turned out. It looks beautiful, it's coordinated, it still has all my favorite memories on there, and it's got me really excited for Christmas. If you're looking for more DIY Christmas ideas, I have a bunch of handmade ornament tutorial videos, a video on how to flock your own Christmas tree, and more things. So check out my channel, subscribe if you haven't. I love to share DIY ideas for creating a home that you love on a budget.